Hello and welcome. The content in this video is for information purposes. If you choose to put any of it into practice, it is your responsibility to do so safely. It is obviously presumed that a person holding a UK driving licence has a basic level of competence, meaning safety, for driving on UK roads. But what if that is not always the case? There are a number of common either misunderstandings or ignorances which can leave drivers and riders, in this case motorcycle riders, vulnerable often to potentially serious situations. Two of those involve junctions and are connected. Some 25% of crashes occur within 25 yards of brows bends and particularly junctions, so they are areas of higher vulnerability and need to be approached and managed with particular care. Each year, apparently, some 60 to 70,000 injuries occur in road crashes within 20 yards of a junction. The first vulnerability is drivers or riders joining at junctions. This is particularly pertinent when turning left from a minor road onto a more major one. Most appear to assume that having checked to the right, they are clear to emerge from the minor road, simultaneously presuming that their side of the road after the turn is going to be clear. But what if it isn't? Because the second vulnerability is not understanding that overtaking at or near junctions, particularly offside ones, can be very dangerous. And when these two actions combine, you have a head-on crash with potentially fatal consequences. So what's the solution? Firstly, we will look at the legal aspects because they underpin the practical examples which follow, the last of which should send shivers down your spine. From a legal standpoint, there are a number of elements. Laws and rules appear to fit into one of three categories: specific, umbrella, and catch-all. Many fall into the middle category. For example, the Highway Code seems somewhat vague about joining at junctions because, under Rule 170 headed Take Extra Care at Junctions, it merely says, amongst other points, look all around before emerging. Whilst appearing vague, it can also be specific because it means there is a responsibility to check it is clear and safe all round before proceedings, and therefore that it is clear and safe in both directions. In addition, if there is an incident emerging from a side road, the law presumes the liability will firstly lie with the emerging driver and only then be subject to any possible mitigating circumstances. In driver training, Rule 170 is interpreted as look right, left, and then right again to cover all bases, and that is widely accepted as the best procedure at junctions to help ensure a safe join. That principally deals with emerging from a side road. For a driver travelling on the major road, there are two specific Highway Code rules and two catch-alls. Rule 146 advises drivers to adapt their driving to road conditions and anticipate hazards, emphasising the need to be cautious and responsive, and says, where there are junctions, be prepared for road users emerging. And Rule 167 is, do not overtake where you might come into conflict with other road users. For example, amongst others, approaching or at a road junction on either side of the road. Whilst those principally cover the situation, the two catch-alls are also pertinent. One is in common law about general duty of care, which is interpreted in the Road Traffic Act 1988 Part 1 Section 3 under careless and inconsiderate driving, which says, if a person drives a mechanically propelled vehicle on a road or other public place without due care and attention, or without reasonable consideration for other persons using the road or place, he is guilty of an offence. Out of interest, this appears to exclude the female gender. This is reflected in Rule 144 of the Highway Code, which states that drivers must not drive dangerously without due care and attention or without reasonable consideration for other road users. Contravening a must not is a criminal offence, which can result in a fine, penalty points, and even imprisonment, whilst a do not is close but is advisory. The second catch-all is in the introduction to the Highway Code, where in simple terms it says, whilst the rule might not be legally binding, it can be used to establish liability in a court of law. There is in fact a third element, the law regarding road markings, which comes under the Traffic Signs Regulations and General Directions 2016 and the Traffic Signs Manual Chapter 5. In those is the short broken white line, where crossing is permitted, but, and here is the key point, only if safe to do so. That second part, travelling on the major road, is obviously respecting the fact that, for reasons mentioned, offside junctions are potentially far more dangerous than nearside ones. The further situation is, what if, whilst you are overtaking, the driver or rider in front suddenly turns right across your path without indicating, which is obviously another case for a serious crash. Having covered the legal aspects, we can now better understand the practical examples. The first one is a potential overtake of a cyclist, but not doing so because of the threat of an offside junction. Have a cyclist in view, want 5 foot separation, overtaking the cyclist. They could turn off. There are options for them to turn away, ahead, mirror, good spacing. So easing the speed, looking to see whether they've got the space to overtake. Got an offside junction coming up. Don't want to overtake, be on the offside of the road if I can avoid it, close to the offside junction. So I'm going to stay back and wait and just see. Possibly at the moment it's going to be around the corner. Cyclists moving towards the offside. Yep, and they're turning away with no signal. Okay, mirror. And so we've got... In this next example, at the same junction, the driver would have needed to hesitate a moment to complete the checks before proceeding. Clearly, he or she did not do that. More likely, it was a quick check to the right and then straight out into the main road for a potential head-on crash. That is a common pattern of behaviour and obviously has high vulnerability. There are times when you can't avoid being on the offside of the road approaching an offside junction. Then you obviously need to proceed with extreme care because of the possibility of a vehicle emerging ahead and turning directly into your path. In the next clip, I am approaching a village to do a sharp, blind left turn into a single-track lane. I need to make sure that my speed is right down on the turn in case of meeting opposing traffic in the lane and being able to stop undramatically. However, in this final example and the trigger for this video, I am approaching the same junction and being followed by another vehicle. There are multiple warnings about the situation ahead. The signs warn of a junction and that the road narrows. There is a slow sign on the road and a hazard line all the way through. Following a proven method, the signal is on about 3 to 4 seconds before braking, allowing the following driver time to anticipate the braking. The signal is actually on some 9 seconds before turning, so the following driver has plenty of time to see and react to the evolving situation ahead and hold back. However, as I slow down for the turn, the following vehicle does not and is driven straight to the offside to complete an overtake. Not only did that driver ignore the presence of a junction from the sign, but the offside part of the junction is also totally blind, giving an emerging driver absolutely no view of his or her road to the left. It may be that the following driver has driven many years without a crash, but there is clearly a very high vulnerability in his or her driving, which might not only potentially injure or kill themselves and any passengers with them, but also the same could be said for persons in another vehicle. There is a further possible scenario that if that following vehicle had been behind as I turned off the road and held for the black car emerging from the lane, the following vehicle, already committed to an overtake, might not have seen the emerging vehicle because part of mine was still in the road, potentially obscuring the view. That would have been another scenario for a very serious crash at a junction. Those, I'm afraid, are just 2 examples of common vulnerabilities in drivers and riders which, because the law of averages often seems to favour the unknowing and unwary, do not always become the tragic and fatal event which they are set up to be. In summary, 2 key points which might save your life and those travelling with you. Firstly, it is your responsibility to check it is clear and safe in both directions before emerging from a side road onto a more major one. If turning left and the view is blind, a very slow and careful creep and peep is all you can do. Right, left and right, and creep and peep. Right, we're in. Morning. Right, we're clear immediately behind at the moment. Having headlights on helps conspicuosity at a distance and may help save a situation. And secondly, if you can avoid it, never be on the offside of the road approaching an offside junction. And if you do have to be there, be critically aware of the possibility of a vehicle emerging directly into your path. If you should find this video helpful, please pass the link on to family and friends. If it helps to save just one life, it is job done. If you would like to know of videos in the pipeline or other news about the channels, please join the Facebook group, The Driving Course Files. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.